South Park, in case you haven't noticed, has begun its latest season of content, and already with just 2 episodes available, as of me making this video anyways, the ratings and talks surrounding the show have exploded. I haven't spoken on South Park on this channel since the Panderverse event, which was when South Park's creators took on the world of DEI and pandering by, putting a chick in it and making her lame and gay. Some people think things have changed with the show, and normally I wouldn't really cover this on the channel very often, but places like IGN have decided to dip their opinions into the ring, so here we are. As seen here, IGN tries to stoke the flames and pit ICE, that's the organization deporting illegals in case you somehow don't know about it, and South Park's creators. It makes for good content, I guess, but what I do find interesting is that the people that seem more outraged by this attack on South Park's behalf against conservatives aren't really the conservatives. In fact, the people who seem most offended are liberal people who are mad that conservative people aren't triggered by how South Park is treating their side of the political aisle. I know, the whole thing is quite stupid, but let's dig further into it. Firstly, it already pissed people on the left off because ICE didn't really get offended by how South Park portrayed them. Instead, they used their portrayal as a meme to promote ICE as an organization, which then led to South Park hitting back saying, oh, so they are relevant after all, even though Trump's administration said that the show wasn't. See, that's a funny clapback. It's all in good fun in that particular instance. But what people have found interesting is that South Park is going very, very hard on conservative values and persons of interest this season, while they have not been equally going as hard on the opposing side, and people have taken notice. For example, people are even calling out the laziness of South Park's creators on their own jokes. I mean, here's JD Vance, Vice President of the United States, making fun of the fact that he's in South Park. He's not really offended. In fact, he clearly enjoys the attention. As this user would reply to the same image, what's striking is that they used one of the JD Vance meme images. They couldn't come up with their own joke. And yet that has been a problem for both of these very right-wing conservative-centric episodes. But what I and many other people online find interesting is how South Park's creators completely ignored the previous presidency, which was ripe for jokes, yet they never once took a jab at either Biden nor Kamala Harris. Biden was a literal vegetable of a human being his entire presidency. They could have easily made a whole plot of him being a puppet for some kind of ridiculous higher power, yet they didn't do it. Kamala Harris parading around and wasting millions of dollars during her campaign run for president, having absurdities like rappers twerking on stage to promote her as president. I mean, come on, they had Megan Thee Stallion, who they paid millions of dollars to just show up for like one single event to push voters to vote for Harris. That is ripe for South Park's creators to make fun of. You could have used literal dead horses being beaten as imagery for Kamala to get more money for her presidency. The absurdities would have known no bounds, yet it never happened. What's equally interesting is that the creators of South Park made fun of anti-vaxxers and all the people they labeled as conspiracy theorists during the height of the pandemic. Despite the people who were against those vaccinations ended up being right in the end that the whole thing was a sham, which the government eventually admitted to. So it's equally weird as well, because in September 2024, Vanity Fair interviewed Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Those are the creators of South Park in case you don't know, but anyway, with this article that's titled, South Park creators to ignore Trump when show returns in 2025. I don't know what more we could possibly say about Trump, Matt Stone tells Vanity Fair in rare interview. As the creator said here, we've tried to do South Park through 4 or 5 presidential elections and it is such a hard thing, said Matt Stone, who launched the series in 1997 alongside Trey Parker on Comedy Central, and it seems like it takes outsized importance. Especially here, where the creators confirmed that the reason why the show didn't return in 2024 was specifically because they wanted to avoid the election and not attack either side, along with their network figuring their stuff out behind the scenes, which was a whole other thing. But, fast forward to now, and it's obvious that these guys had a change of heart in a very short amount of time. This wouldn't be the first time, since as seen here, they do bring up how South Park tackled the 2016 election and made fun of Hillary Clinton, which yes, they did. So it's not as if the creators didn't have a change of heart before, but something about this time, it feels very weird. Something very obviously changed behind the scenes because as seen here, South Park is now, or will be, I guess, under new ownership. You see, before it was Paramount that owned South Park, but now Skydance Media owns them, or I guess, like I said before, they will own them soon. Anyway, Skydance, they bought Paramount and all their IPs and whatnot for an eye-watering $8 billion payout. That's a lot of money. And then, after all seen in July 2025 is seen here, the South Park creators then reached a deal with Paramount to allow South Park to stream exclusively on their platform. Within a $1.5 billion deal, this deal is set to last 5 years. So it comes down basically, it will cost Paramount around $300 million a year to keep South Park available on their streaming service now, and yeah, that's generational money alright. And also, if you enjoy the content, consider liking the video, leaving a comment, and subscribing to keep up to date on all the madness. Thank you very much. But now this $1.5 billion deal was at risk potentially because, like I said, Skydance is buying Paramount, but it did seem to have worked out in the end. This also was threatening the other $900 million deal that South Park had with Comedy Central as well, but again, that has panned out as well. So, the creators of South Park just made, like I said, generational money. Like if they wanted to, once this 5 years worth of content is done, these guys could easily just buy an island each and then sleep for the rest of their lives, and their families would never have to worry about money again. But this massive influx of money has also caused a lot of fans to believe that this huge payout has come with creative caveats, and that's putting it lightly. Like I showed earlier, the creators expressed that they wanted to move on from Trump, the vaccine debates, and more because they felt like the political stuff was draining, and I mean, who can blame them? After all, they even made 2 whole RPG games amidst making the show, which, yeah, I've been using as footage for this video. Because in case you don't know, actual South Park episodes are copyright infringement nightmares to deal with. But people are noticing that despite saying this, that they would avoid the election, avoided Biden, and didn't want to touch even Trump. And then suddenly, they're given, basically, almost $2 billion between all of these deals and more. And now we got Trump, who is very clearly replacing Saddam Hussein as the lover of Satan, down to the South Park creators, even using the same voice gag for Trump as they did for Saddam, which kind of just makes it all feel even more lazy. Like at the very least, they could have given their Trump a funny Trump impression, like even I can do a terrible Trump impression. But my impression is good, even great. Some would say my impression is the best. I've heard people say that, they've said that about me. But then again, unlike the creators of South Park here, who seem to have caved in due to money, dirty money, I at least can do a terrible impression of Trump because I have balls, big balls, some would say the biggest. I tell my doctor, I say, have you ever seen balls these big? And I look good, I look great, unlike that dirty Kamala Harris. She's so dirty, so stinky, every time she walks into the room I say, who brought the fish market? Then I see her, I see Kamala, then it makes sense, she stings, she does, I've smelt it. Like, they could have at least tried, you know what I mean? But they clearly didn't. They phoned it in, and it's so clearly obvious. They instead make Trump like this, which is kinda lame and lazy, but again, that's how the whole thing just came across to me as I watched it. It honestly just gave me, and I hate to compare them to this, but it honestly gave me Stephen Colbert vibes. Like, it's also wild how you had Colbert literally dancing on set, unironically by the way, with people dressed in costumes looking like giant vaccine shots. And South Park's creators didn't think that that was right material to make fun of. It just feels as though the South Park creators are very obviously just not allowed to make fun of certain things, but are being encouraged to clearly make fun of other things instead. I mean, this video wouldn't even exist had they made fun of Biden even once during the entirety of his campaign, but it never happened. But clearly, I mean, it's been paying off for them, because as Forbes reported here, South Park's viewership numbers have doubled and then some, following these new episodes about Trump and all the bashing around him. To give you raw numbers, the previous season's openings had about 430,000 viewers within its debut. These new episodes have skyrocketed to 838,000 viewers within the first day. So it's obvious that the people who don't like conservatives, or I guess Trump, are watching South Park now. So this selling out, if you will, of the creators both financially with that over $1 billion payout has led to them clearly, I mean it seems like anyway, throwing their morals away. As reported here by Forbes, in the first 3 days, South Park's newest season opener got almost 6 million views in total. which is absolutely huge for the streaming service and its creators. So naturally, that's why the follow-up episode then featured Ice, Christy Gnome, and her shooting dogs. Which honestly, I have to admit, the dog shooting bit, as gruesome as it was pretty funny. Although Christy Gnome, who's the head of Homeland Security in case you don't know, said that she's annoyed that South Park's creators attacked her looks. The dog shooting part, I guess she was fine with. Of course, places like IGN tried to stoke the culture war fires, but it really didn't work. I mean, Christy Gnome even changed her profile picture to her South Park lookalike, and then Ice standed firm saying that the deportations will still continue. Then you have Twitter accounts like this Evan guy who, in case you don't know, is notoriously known on Twitter for botting his likes on his posts. Because despite getting hundreds of thousands of likes when he posts, he never really gains new followers or any real interactions, which is suspicious to say the least, but I digress. But as you can see, he tries to push the narrative that South Park hates people like Charlie Kirk, Christy Gnome, and Trump, but those public figures instead are just in on the joke and take it in good fun. Trump's administration, not so much maybe, but the other two changed their profile pictures to their South Park counterparts because, yeah, it's funny. As this one user replied to that Evan guy who hates conservatives, never seen a group of people so mad that a group of people isn't mad, and Evan just freaks out in response. As another user would reply, damn, you're still upset that they aren't upset, and another, you want them to be offended so bad, man, if only, right? Guess what? Nobody on the right cares. We're not the side that canceled comedy, remember? You see, what's hilarious about this whole situation with South Park is that despite them attacking conservatives, it's actually the liberal people who are the most offended regardless in the end either way, and that's pretty funny to me. Because it doesn't seem to be like nobody on the right is really upset about these episodes. People are just pointing out that it's interesting that they didn't do this with Biden. But full-blown freakout as they're trying to report? Not really, no. It's as if, like, the media and stuff, they wanted a bigger response. They demanded that the side that they hate and pretty much think about 24/7 rent-free, they should be reeling in pain due to this, but it's just not really happening. Another user would post someone on Reddit explaining how liberals tend to think, which reads, it's not the left can't meme per se, it's that their viewpoints rely on a carefully constructed denial of reality, to a far greater extent than any of the cults or religions they seek to supplement. This doesn't lend itself to simple, easily conveyed messages, because if you rely on your viewers to see things as they are, without providing several layers of carefully selected context, they'll interpret it the wrong way. The left can't meme because memes are the antithesis of how they communicate. And that's interesting, because look at how people try to cancel right-wing cartoonists like Stone Toss, for example. Where his comics, whether you like them or hate them, I mean, they are simple, they're easy to understand, and they're usually with very little writing too. They just kind of get to the point. Or you got people like George Alexopoulos, I hope I said that right, but anyway, he has this weird, surreal art style, where he's even able to convey political imagery through his exaggerated designs, and both of these creators, they make their jokes through comics, yet they both feel simple to understand, which if you don't know, that is very important when it comes to comedy. Because there needs to be a simplicity to it in order to keep it what it should be, that obviously being funny. But as it was said, the other side of the aisle is mad that people are not mad about Trump in South Park. Like, I normally wouldn't even talk about this, but places like IGN and Forbes, which cover games, decided to throw their hats in the ring, so here I am now talking about it as well. I do think these types are just mad that they are incapable of infuriating the side they hate so much because, honestly, they lack the humor. And instead, they're clinging onto what South Park has done here as their ace in the hole, when in reality, it's more so just lazy. And honestly, South Park's creators are better than this in my opinion. I don't mean they're above political satire, I just mean their jokes are usually better than what we have here. Again, I have no issue with them making fun of whoever they want. I mean, in the Panderverse special, they made fun of channels like mine, but it was funny, so it's fine with me. I just don't like the feeling that these guys are maybe losing their edge, and they're just giving into this propaganda that is clearly laced with well over $1 billion payout attached to it. But who knows, maybe $1 billion is all it takes for people to lose all their values and credibility. And I've seen people sell their credibility for far, far less already, as White House spokesperson also, this is Taylor Rogers, that's their name, said to Rolling Stone about the whole Trump South Park thing. They said, the left's hypocrisy truly has no end. For years, they have come after South Park for what they labeled as offensive content. But suddenly, they are praising the show, and yeah, that's pretty much what is happening. If anything, this entire fiasco has proven how everyone clearly has biases, yet they only get offended when it's their side of the aisle that is getting made fun of. This entire thing is a mess. But at least it's a somewhat entertaining one too. All I can hope for is that South Park decides to attack the other side as well. But so far, that doesn't really seem to be the case. If their episodes are raking in millions of views now due to this whole topical shift, I have a pretty bad feeling that they will continue to just push this narrative, not because they want to, but because they're feeling pressure to, deliver due to that whole $1 billion deal and then some. But for a creative duo that has defined themselves for being unapologetically apolitical and, willing to take shots at literally everyone. Right now, anyways, in this instance, it does seem like South Park has taken the side of the far left, and it may lead to the short-term gains they want. But I do wonder what it'll mean for the longevity of the show, and more importantly, and this is key, the credibility of those involved. I guess time will tell, but yeah, a little bit different of a video for me, I know, maybe a bit shorter too, but what do you think about all of this? Should I cover more South Park or no? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, subscribe to keep up to date. As always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.